Welcome, everyone, to Rebirth, a D&D tale, episode 107. And where we had left off, the Lucky Sevens had been making plans and sort of coordinating what it is that they wish to do with this large orb of platinum that they found in the city of Zarana, deep underneath the crater of the Calamity. And so, with that in hand, and with the risk of potential pirates and other ne'er-do-wells finding out that such a treasure is aboard the Daedalus, the Lucky Sevens have called upon Cypher in order to aid them in securing the platinum until they have such a place that they could call their own for a protected vault. And along the way, maybe learning some more about what it is they saw in Zarana. Cypher, being a professor of a lot of things about the draconic history of the world, being as old as he is and educated as he might be, as well as, well, maybe there's some other things that make him that much more knowledgeable about such things. And so, sitting aboard Selter in the luxurious dining halls and crew quarters and her own secure vault within the belly of this particularly draconic looking ship, Cypher has been toiling away at studying everything that you have dumped out of the bag of holding onto the floor of the dining area, combing through everything with fascination and bewilderment, as well as joy. Possibly the happiest that any of you have ever seen him. The man is eccentric. Smiles often, but how often is it more than just a show? How often is it genuine? And he's spent many hours in this particular dining hall and just poured over everything. And I'm sure that you all have gone about your own various businesses and maybe have come back to see him still. But what do you do as he's just kind of looking over everything?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I find him like that, very deep in his studies, hunched over a desk, and I'm perhaps a little bit intrigued. It's a familiar look, one that I've seen many times before. Man, deep in his studies, into his research, toiling away at something that fascinates him beyond really anything that I would understand. That's how it is with scientists, those intellectual folk. And even if it's something as of magic, I understand magic is more of a feeling rather than some sort of intellectual pursuit. So it's always been a little bit interesting to me. I kind of meander up behind him and linger over his shoulder, looking at all of the different materials and pieces that he's observing, seeing the small draconic statuettes and carvings and arts and collections from the ages lost. And to me, it's not really something that I'm unaccustomed to. To me, these sorts of pieces, it's normal. It feels normal and familiar and regular, but I suppose there's something fascinating about it. You know, the fascinating piece of a long lost civilization. It doesn't feel that long ago when I think about it. But I digress. I um I kind of pull up a stool and just settle beside him, watching him tinker away and scribble about inside his notes.
As you start to pull the stool over, he hears the feet of it just kind of dragging along the wooden floor, and looks over at you. It's like, oh, I didn't notice that you came in.
I didn't necessarily want to surprise you, but oh well. Hello.
Oh well, uh, don't mind me. Just kind of pouring over these coins. He just has a pile of the ancient gold that y'all found.
Hmm.
Some of these are pristine, as if they were newly
If you look
minted.
at coincidentally, they were pulled from the vault. I wouldn't doubt that quite a few of them actually were. If you look at them, and Arya just starts shuffling through them, this one is supposed to be equivalent to 5 pieces, or five-ish currency, and this one would be equivalent to 20 currency. Um, I was never good at figuring out the budgeting, and she's just like going through and trying to point out like what is the value behind the different pieces and their symbols and pointing them out to him for a second.
Mm, mm, mm. Right.
Because that was her native currency once, yeah.
Right. And and so he's kind of looking at them as like some of the draconic symbols. Oh, it's just, so this is the numerics of, and he's more or less confirming. He kind of already seems to know the numerics on the
Mm-hmm.
currency, but having somebody to confirm that for him instead of his own hypothesis just kind of makes him a little cocky
Probably,
in his
yeah.
in sitting up in his seat, and um
Puff his chest out like, I
uh,
knew it.
I knew it. Yeah. He has a
Uh,
has a bit of that of an air of about him going on at the moment, uh, but he kind of lets it deflate just a little bit, and uh, well, I mean, I could pour over these coins and really study them for decades. I'm sure you would rather not watch a a man poring over something so maybe trivial.
no, it's quite interesting to watch. It's fun. When you see someone who has a lot of passion in something, you can't help but feel inspired.
Oh well.
At least that's the case for me. So,
Well, my passion for knowledge has always been sort of my my desire and perhaps my fault. in in social circles. I could talk the ears off of delegates from everywhere regarding this, that, and everything when it comes to history and things like that. But a lot of people consider that very uncouth and rude to correct individuals of a particularly high station.
Uh, yeah, I guess so. But if there's someone you want to talk about to that, in truth, I would love to hear about it. What is it about dragons, specifically? You mentioned earlier that knew everything about them.
Yes.
What do you know?
Well. Well. What do I not know? That is the harder and simpler question. I have been studying dragons for the better part of the 120, 25 years, I think. I started my education a long time ago, obviously. Uh, it was a fascination of mine when I began pursuing a higher education of a scholarly nature, and was kind of my mode into tenure at the university in Fallfire. I was a
Oh,
professor for a number of years. I spent rather 30 years teaching there, actually.
well, you look human.
Yes.
How were you able to live so long?
Well, that in itself is a very, very long story. And it really very has little to do with dragons in so much that they're the thing that called the thing down, that kind of caused this. It's hard for me to
Mm,
explain, actually. It's it's a combination of my own will as well as the will of the world that I exist as such. The protector and knower of all things. Uh,
interesting. It's
I, I,
like
I
an
couldn't explain it any
like
better
a
than that.
Zuviwar's archivist.
Archivist, yes. I think I think that is a very appropriate title. I'm I had been tossing around a few titles before, and it's never quite felt proper to call myself an agent of the divine, and yet sort of am. It, it's 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 a very weird relationship.
I see you're still trying to parse out proper terms for it.
But yes, a archivist, a collector and knower of things that are important to the world so that they dare not be repeated again. That is my duty. The job that I have assigned to myself, in a way.
I see. So then it's not just merely dragons that you are proficient with understanding, but the world.
Sort of where it all started, but yes, in so much that dragons are and were a part of this world as much as any of mankind, and thus are important to the history of such as well as the future of such, even though few, if any, still exist. Same is
Hmm.
true of giants and their role in the ancient history and how they continue to shape humanity today in their descendants, as well as, if there are any that still exist, might have gone into hiding, such as the dragons have, as the calamity was out to destroy them all.
It's true. Even the remnants seem to be still under some sort of mode. It was down there, a piece of it, a piece of the calamity.
Still trying to fulfill its
It
mission, I
goes,
suppose.
yes, still trying. It had twisted one of the few remaining of Dragonkin. I
And
mentioned his name before. They. I'm appalled. Really.
at whom?
Horrified. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Mm.
You know, you had some history with Rune. We've discussed it before a little bit, but
Brief, but
what
yes.
precisely what precisely was your relationship and how much did you know about him?
I suspected he was something of a unique creation when I first met him, and his want for knowledge is what drove him to sign a contract with me. I offered to let him know about more about his past and his future and how that would shape him. That was remaining to be seen at the time. He didn't quite recall his own essence in that moment, but he was understanding more and more. And I, as the curious person that I am, wanted to know more about how in the world his soul got trapped inside such an intricate piece of armor with no real body to speak of. Just that. And he points to the crystal in your chest.
She touches it gingerly as she looks down at it.
That really being the only physical part of him. The rest was him walking about of his own will. A creature much like others I've known in similar situations. Manifestations of their own want for something. And so, in my studies, while apart from him, I learned a few things that I never really got to share with him. And and in his call for help, a price had to be paid. My intervention in getting the rest of the Lucky Sevens out of a a crumbling ziggurat from underneath the sand. My hand was forced. I am not to intervene. And he's the one who paid the price. And so, as his particular final wish, I have taken it upon myself to look after Vanya. Make sure nothing untoward happens to her. So I'm frequently at her beck and call as the person who owes her a great debt in this case, because I am the one who is the reason that he is gone.
Probably
Yet
about this
he was
time,
still.
Vanya walked in. Like, oh, so you're
Oh.
just a glorified babysitter.
I suppose you could call me that, yes. If that is how you would like to demean my appearance and my involvement in your said life, then sure.
Just trying to lighten.
You know, I thought about it. He was rather cunning, wasn't he? He tied you to Vanya in order to watch over her. And I came back to continue to love her.
Certainly seems that way.
Maybe he knew more. More than he let
Wouldn't
on.
shock me.
But suppose if it hasn't been spoken yet, and hasn't been discussed, he was the one who called it. The calamity. He discovered what the magic was. We made it. And then others performed it. And I was livid with him at the time. That he would do something like that. His response was that it was bound to happen. If not he, then who? Someone would have made it. There was some aspect of inevitability to that.
It's the truth of all discovery.
I was mad. Still. I couldn't understand that, nor could I understand the magic he had created to separate body and soul, nor could I understand the magics behind his toys and strange machines that always created. And so much that I didn't understand about him. And I feel like in some ways I understood him better now. Not as a dragon, but as a person. As a person he perhaps meant to be. Now he's gone. But I understand, though. You said earlier the position you're in with the world. Somehow being an agent to it. I think I'm the same, in a strange way.
Wouldn't surprise me. There have been several agents of the world herself, at least in my own recollection, not to mention many others who may have been come before you. Come after you. Each one with their own unique perspective and abilities and desires, but ultimately the truest of children to this world.
It didn't start out that way, though.
Are you sure about that?
I'm quite sure. I was just a human. But no.
And the agent I knew was just a tiefling.
She reaches up and grabs the horns again, kind of confused by them, before just kind of slumping in the stool. I feel like I feel like it's more clear about what I am and represent now than before, but... Oh! That's right. I had a question. What was that other dragon you mentioned? Symphonics?
Yes. Never met him myself. Never had the luck to. I was spoken about by some of my companions back in... Well, I want to say back in the day, but it really is a long time ago now. They attempted to ask him questions, from what I understand, and he couldn't give them the answers they were looking for. He had taken them to the dragon graveyard. They had...
What even is that? Dragon graveyard. You said that all the dragons went there one day and died. How?
Well,
why?
When a giant thing from the sky is falling down upon your world, and you don't want to be killed in such a way, you flee, don't you?
Presumably, but...
But they didn't escape the blast, and the blast caught them when they thought they were safe.
Oh.
And thus, at the Dragon Graveyard, there are even tourist attractions to go and see the bones of old, dead dragons. Preserved for the last several eons.
A fair bunker. Shelter that could not save them.
It didn't help that it was nearby to a volcano as well that also erupted very, very violently at the same time as the crash. It was horrific. And those that survived were the ones that escaped beyond dragon territory. to the furthest reaches of the world. They escaped because they had broken their pact. Dragons, as a kind, made the pact with Rebirth. And when certain members of said tribe did not want to participate in the destruction, well, the destruction came for them anyway. It took many eons, but eventually got most of them. That's why if there are any today, no one knows. Intentionally.
Do you think it'd be possible to... Sorry, there was very big rumbling going on outside.
Oh.
Like he was shaking the house. I was like, what the fuck? All right. Do you think it'd be possible to bring the dragons back? Is Shona Ruth still a threat to them? It is. I understand its remnants remain, and that proves perilous, not just to dragons, but seemingly to anything magical, elves, gnomes.
That is
It
true.
consumes extensively in Ut. But still, though, it was only a remnant.
As a collective, no, it is not a threat. It no longer is present. It left, having fulfilled its mission, which was to destroy the giant's weapon. That was its ultimate goal. You ever hear of a goddess named Ouijas?
I believe the name has passed by us. It's one of the gods of death. Contender. At one point. At least we believed so.
At the very least, is severely diminished in that her power is no longer present in any of Mesotopia, where her reign as their supreme goddess was prevalent. Now, her magic, what fueled the magic of most of Mesotopia, is faded, leaving room for other magical sources to weave their way into the societies, perhaps to even broaden such companies such as Paragon Electric Power Company into the broader world, corporate expansion and all of that. But she's not regarded at all anymore. She was defeated. And so,
Sean.
yes, I shone Earth with the aid of myself and my companions.
Really?
It's the day the sky-shattered Leviathan went down.
day I first saw Salter.
Indeed.
Hmm.
But all that to suffice it to say is that Shondaruth is no longer a looming threat in the same sort of collective sense that it once was. It is those remnants are individual sort of collections, or previous agents are now roaming free, seeking out their calling of some kind. The agents of the calamity as such as they were haven't been haven't created contracts with the thing since it left. It's no longer here to make contracts, if that makes any sense.
It does. And if that's the case, then dragons have nothing left to fear.
I suppose not.
Maybe there's a chance we can restart. If there's any left.
Is that something that you want? They were a tyrannical species. You all should know. You should know most of all.
Not all of them are. I think that's the part that I want to believe.
And the ones who survived were the cowards.
Maybe. Is it cowardly to choose peace?
According to your own people? If your own people call you cowardly for not standing for your right as the supreme species of the entire planet, ruling over and lording over mankind and lurking to lord over the giants and everything else, even the gods.
Maybe there was a time that was true, but who is to say what's true anymore? Only those that are left, right?
Can you restart a civilization with a few individuals? When mankind is the ruling species of this planet now?
Maybe I just want to give them a chance. I'm going to find the remnants. The last dragons. I don't know why I feel compelled, but it's like there's something inside me that says that the cycle has to be completed. That this is what should be. To bring them back into the world. Born anew. It may not be the same society or civilization, and in truth, I don't really want them to be. But I've met the ones I've met. Most now were of sound minds, were also of sound hearts. And I want to believe in that.
You have optimism. I'll give you that.
Well, I mean, I had thought myself dead when the calamity struck, but that wasn't true either. We're the lucky sevens. If anything, we've discovered that we make the impossible very possible. You should look over to Vanya and smile
Vanya's
at
just
her.
got her arms around her. Is that not what I told you a while ago, Professor? You have one of the impossibilities sitting right here in front of you.
Indeed.
Only
Well.
this one you can't have.
I would not dare. Wouldn't dare ever. At all. Period.
Yeah, I think Seltzer might get mad at you.
Yes. Yes, I think you would be correct. Any other
that's
questions?
another one. Salter is another dragon, good of hearts.
Yes, who willed herself into being a dragon. Sort of.
Wait, that's possible? You want to hear Kurobe kind of call out, like breaking his conversation with the door?
Kurobe, do you want to be a dragon?
You're just going to see a big smile on his face.
I will tell you that transformations of a sort are very painful and not for the faint of heart, and is highly unlikely to happen. Not impossible. Highly unlikely.
Considering the things that we've been through, highly unlikely seems very possible. And I'm not scared of a little pain. You've never seen me check for traps.
I am very aware of how it is that you go about checking for traps, my good son. I have been told. That's not physical. It's very hard to explain unless you go through a very similar process yourself. And I can't exactly explain it any other way than that.
It's not like my polymorphing, is it?
No, that at least is... That's yourself manifesting a will unto yourself that is fueled by the arcane. You are a practitioner of the arcane arts, natural as they may seem to you. But you're still manifesting using the weave of magical energy that encompasses the world itself, from a source that is either fueled by the planet itself, or it's fueled by your own will, or it's fueled by the will of others upon which you serve or don't serve, or the divine, or whatever other source there may be out in the world, as said, there are continually numerous that continue to be discovered. But you are still creating energy from energy. A creation of something from something. To create something out of nothing is the work of truly remarkable. Selter, in the form that she's in now, is a creation of something from nothing. She had nothing left except for the compassion and drive and the affection and companionship of those who were surrounding her, because she was at one point just a ghost on a ship.
Really?
But now she's not.
Salter,
And-
you are certainly a marvel, aren't you? Something impossible, right?
Oh, honey, I am the most impossible being that there ever did exist. And don't you ever forget it.
I'd like to hear that story
Aye,
one
aye.
day.
It was, in a way, a transformation for myself and her at the same time, as we combined forces in that moment.
You said you two were connected, a part of each other.
Quite literally at this point. We are not two beings in the truest of senses anymore.
See.
I am still Professor Cypher, she is still Selter, and yet there are many ways in which we are one being. She is forever my vessel, and I am forever her companion.
We'll always have each other.
For as long as the two of us exist in the same moment. Time is weird sometimes.
Yeah, we know that one.
But, back to the topic at hand, does anyone else have any other questions regarding this, these artifacts that you all have procured?
I'll be honest.
Oh! Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
This thing. And Arya's going to ruffle into the bag of holding, literally just reach into the bag of holding that Vanya has, and yoink it out, and she's going to present the Nexus. What is this piece? It's very pretty, and I wanted it, but I don't know what it is.
That, my dear, is... You know how some practitioners of the arcane art need to focus their energy in order to be able to make it manifest. I'm sure that you use your own crystal as a similar vessel. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's like I can feel my magic through it.
But your crystal is it doesn't amplify your powers. It simply just creates a vessel for them in which to flow.
Mm.
I believe that is called the epitome of love. That thing in your chest. It had a name, which I believe you gave it. But the Nexus, that is an ancient weapon. And if you perhaps wanted to, you could use it to amplify your magic.
It doesn't look like something that the dragons used. It doesn't look like their technology or
No, it's
Maybe they got
actually
it.
methods.
it's actually giant in origin.
I was about to say maybe they got it from an enemy.
Giant.
Spoil of war.
Hmm.
Yes, a spoil of a battle. A victory over the giants in one particular skirmish, and well, it's full of potential. And judging from the look of it too, you could potentially be seeing into the future. A very sort of common amongst diviners amongst the giants.
See. I'll try it. Just to see about it. I can't help but be a little bit curious. So
Well, I'm sure that a person of your caliber would be able to make fine use of it. Mechanically speaking,
Yep.
the card is available on Roll20.
Yes, I have it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arya's just at that. She's probably just gonna pull herself out of the stool, give a little bow to Cypher. Thank you for the conversation, Professor.
Oh, absolutely. I
If there's
enjoy
anything you want to
conversation.
know, if there's anything you want to know about how the dragons were,
I'm
from
sure.
how I understood them,
I'm sure I could pick your brain.
you most certainly can tell me anything that you want to just talk about. In truth, I'm still learning the world as it is, so I wouldn't mind the history lesson.
And it's an ever-changing one, too.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Kurobe, you sounded very curious about something.
No, when you asked if we had any other questions, I was just going to say I didn't understand half of what you said enough to ask one.
Huh. I feel like I have failed as a professor.
No,
I just
I my talents lie elsewhere. That's
It's
why I
swinging at
always
things
surround
and
my.
getting angry. Yes, I'm very fully aware.
Yes, that is why I surround myself with at least one person that is smarter than me, so they understand.
You definitely surround yourself with people who think they know what they're talking about. Or at least can convince you of such.
I'm not smart enough to say otherwise.
At least he's aware.
Awareness is half the battle. What about you,
I
Kale?
was gonna scampering off.
Oh, I'm out here.
I'm assuming you're here because everybody else is.
Cause he
No,
went to go
actually, he
change.
is not.
Mm.
He
He went
fucked
to
off
go
to
change
another
over
room.
plate armor at a half
I,
plate.
I mean, this was over the course of several days, so.
Ah, okay. Uh hmm. What question would Kale be curious about?
Again, this can be posed to me out of character as the DM to clarify some things that you might want to have clarified. If there's something you don't quite understand, or something you want a little bit more clarity on, or as far as like that sort of thing. Obviously, this is a opportunity to ask me anything in the voice of Cipher, and he will divulge information as such that he knows. But
Okay,
beyond,
I do have a question actually.
okay,
Is there a way someone descended from a dragon can retrace their lineage?
there's plenty of tale and myth that a lot of Dragonborn trace their lineages back to a specific dragon, but it always in Candor specifically, it's always in the form of we overcame them. We are better than them. We are superior to our draconic ancestors. In that they believe in the part of the tale in which Dragonborn are, along with the Tieflings, were the conquering humanoids that devoured the dragons and defeated them.
Hmm.
They believe in the Dragonborn specifically of Candor, and Candor propagates this quite a lot in that your draconic ancestors are the lesser being, that the Dragonborn themselves are the superior being compared to their draconic ancestors, because the dragons were defeated. They died. They all either fucked off, or they were killed in an epic battle, including being devoured by essentially humanity as slaves overthrowing them. And so
Hmm.
they play into that a lot in their own lineages and stuff like that. They tie themselves more closely to their um their first dragonborn ancestors, where the the first real dragonborn of the age after the dragons were their true ancestors. The dragon that they maybe have
Hmm.
descended from were not necessarily the venerated one. It was the conqueror of that dragon. So,
Hmm.
but there are dragonborn amongst the world, such as perhaps in the Stormwind Empire that do believe themselves to be directly descended from a dragon and are that dragon's children. There are those among Kandor who also believe in such things. That there is a this is particularly true of Metallics. Metallics definitely have a higher veneration of their ancient dragon ancestors than the Chromatics of Kandor do. And the Gem Dragons of the Stormwind Empire, even more broadly so. And uh, so so with the case of some of the metallic dragonborn in Kandor, and they may not have a name for the dragon that which they descended from, but they believe themselves to be descended from a mighty silver or a mighty gold or a mighty brass dragon, and are their true children, or at least believe such, in that they are children of Bahamut, direct descendants of Bahamut, and so have this sort of godly or saintly lineage in their past as Kandorian Dragonborn. And so that's why there's a lot of infighting amongst all Dragonborn as to who really holds the right to the temple to Bahamut in Kandor, because is Bahamut the true father of all Dragonborn, or is he or are Dragonborn really just humanity corrupted by having devoured old ancient dragons, or is that something that's propagated by myth and all sorts of societal norms that are part of that are part of Kandor and of the Empire? It's really hard to know if there is a true lineage to trace back. So the only true way to know such a thing is if you had a possession that you believed to be something that your dragon ancestor owned, you could cast the Legend Lore spell, which there are some casters in the around the world that would be able to do so, but you would have to have something that you believe to be that dragon's possession to be able to link yourself to that dragon. But that's as close as you could get, because as far as tracing a genetic sort of timeline, you can't really legend lore yourself.
Fair.
So, but as far as like belief systems that you grew up in as a dragon descendant of the Mesotopia region, you've heard all of the stories, you've heard all of the versions, you've heard all of the myth and legends. Maybe you believe them, maybe you don't. That's up to your character to decide, but how much faith you put into what your dragon descended color is and who that ties to, if anyone, is kind of up to your character to believe what they believe.
Okay. Thank you for this information.
Yeah. Anybody else want to ask me anything? As your GM? Kind of an open table at the moment? Okay.
I'm good.
Well, I think what we'll do then is take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to kind of move forward in the progression of some scenes. We have a few things to get to as far as downtime between when you start selling off your first objects and finish off and start construction on your fort so that you can determine what it is that you're doing in that 6-month period, and uh, we'll come back in on those things. So we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to Rebirth, a D&D tale, episode 107. We had left off with the Lucky Sevens asking some poignant and interesting questions of Professor Cypher about the nature of dragons, their history, what he knows, what he studied, a little bit about himself, a little bit about him and Selter. Just getting to know the professor and his mind about various things. And over the course of a few months of joining the professor in selling off some of these draconic wares that they have procured from the city of Zarana, they have found themselves with a large sum of money that they intend to build a fort and vault with. One that will store the large orb of platinum that they have with armed guards and protection and even staff for a home base of their own. And during these few months in gathering this money, there are a few things that the Lucky Sevens would like to do along the way. So, let's start with Kale. Kale, what are you doing in the 6 months leading up to the Lucky Sevens reeling you back into their nonsense and getting your opinion on a fort?
Never expect they would want my opinion on fort. But during that time, I am looking to hunt down a certain group. At least trying to find its leader, anyway. So it would be passively as I trail the Lucky Sevens. Still trying to get to know this quirky, hellish group that I have signed up with. Still a little bit of regret, but it's fine. They're fun. So kind of as we're going through like different towns and stuff, they'll kind of just randomly disappear at different times. Kind of searching, trying to hunt down different black markets, going to shady places, asking about the group that he's looking for, any fanatical dealings that they might have seen, or any strange cult-like individuals creeping up.
Okay.
Um,
So why don't you give us a little bit of an idea? Does Kale actually share any of this with the rest of the Lucky Sevens, or is he doing this on his own?
He'd kind of be doing on his own.
Okay.
Someone eventually would probably knows that the minute that 1 minute he's there, the next minute, hey, he just randomly disappeared. So if he's prodded about it, he'd probably say something. But this is a deeply personal vendetta,
Okay.
so he probably wouldn't say much.
So why don't you give the audience a little insight as to who you're hunting? Maybe the Lucky Sevens don't know, but the audience should.
So the individual that he is trying to hunt down is called the Sundered Saint. He is the main leader and operator of the organization called the Midnight Chorus. They are a very insidious group that most people are trying to figure out. At least the country of Kandor is, and one of his mentors was recruited to trying to hunt down and dismantle this organization.
Mm.
He ended up getting ousted and killed by the leader. So Kale, at least as he goes by currently, is on a hunt to find the leader and finish what his friend couldn't, and also get revenge.
Okay. So the Midnight Chorus, you said, is an insidious and very dangerous group that they kind of operate in a very cult-like fashion.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense in that perhaps in a way this particular cult is maybe to tie you into the rest of the Lucky Sevens who are also chasing cults. They're chasing a cult of a death god, and perhaps that's what's led you to actively seek out the Sundered Saint, as he might be one said individual who could be linked to this greater search that the Lucky Sevens are involved in, as you never knew what the sort of religious holdings of this particular cult might have been, but you know that they're dangerous in that they are known for kidnapping, shady dealing, drug dealing. They're murderers. They're highly organized as well. So they also run in the underbelly of a lot of candor, in that they are a known quantity but are not necessarily pursued, at least
Yeah.
not into the same kind of levels that one might. It's hard to pin like crimes against their leadership, because on the face of it, their leadership are very upstanding and very notable individuals, maybe sort of in our day and age, sort of a sense, kind of mob boss like, where the worst offenses that they have on their record is maybe as far as criminal activity is public disturbance, which is a slap on the wrist from the authorities of Candor. There's not really much else that they could actually pin to them with proof. They have no other proof that this organization even has any kind of dealings like what Kale would know them to be involved in, especially with the fact that they have, again, without any substantial proof, murdered members of the Crucible. And thus, without proof, they don't stand trial, and thus don't suffer the consequences of their criminal actions, when you know from the methodology that it was their MO.
Yeah.
And rumors that you would know about this Sundered Saint is he does have he does have rumors about him that he maybe worships some of the more evil gods, and that perhaps he is feeding his victims into their maw, or some superstitious kind of weird something or other that people tend to exaggerate. Maybe it is true, maybe it isn't. But he's called the Sundered Saint for a reason, and some might believe that he is a saint of one of these such gods. And so, in searching for him, especially because Sir Warwick was killed by him, you're on the hunt, especially because the the trip that you're making to deliver some of these draconic goods is to Kandor. And so going about your own stomping grounds and pursuing him a bit more in what you know to be his territory. Go ahead and give me. Let's do an investigation. Let's see
Okay.
if there's any clues that you can pick up on his whereabouts.
And I'm going to just roll on the roll 20 currently because I don't have my dice in front of me at the time.
Oh no! We like physical dice.
Right.
Ugh. Okay.
And,
For the first bit of the travels that you're making through the various museums and things of the interested parties who would want some of this draconic iconography and things, you're not hearing anything. You're not getting the rumors that you would normally get. You're getting very little talk about the Midnight Chorus as well as the Sundered Saint. Maybe people are being more hush hush about it. Maybe people are a little bit more scared about it, but you're not hearing the same level of rumors that you used to.
yeah.
Especially since you've been a little separated from Kandor for a little while now.
Yeah.
So maybe this first path through you're a little out of luck. Maybe better luck next time.
Very luck next time.
For the stop in Kandor, is anyone else doing something?
Beyond continuing to sell our goods and find collectors who will pay well for it, not really. I'm not even sure what to do in Kandor, so I'm good for the moment.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. Kurobe, you're getting up to anything in Kandor? Are you visiting the temple to Bahamut, or are you even attempting? Yeah. Because the the temple priests might be looking at you a little funny because you're not dragonborn. But there's clearly dragon something about you, so.
Oh, that's right. They have a temple to Bahamut.
Yep.
Duh.
It's in the southern
forgot
portion
about
of the
that.
country. Yep.
Well, I mean, if Kurobe's stopping by there, then I would also stop by there.
Okay.
3-person trip.
Okay.
Dragon investigation.
Dragon investigation. Yes. Yay. The temple is very beautiful. It actually sits on a floating island that hovers kind of just above the mainland mass of the entire country. And so this small island kind of looks like a mountain kind of pulled out of the ground and has been lifted up into the air. And the temple itself kind of sits on top of that, kind of surrounded by clouds, and kind of looks all majestic and very platinum colored, and kind of glistens in the sunlight as it passes over. There's kind of a whole city that surrounds this floating mountain, as well as kind of an underside of the island itself that kind of is more of a mining operation more than it is like an actual living space that is under that, because they don't really want people living under the mountain should something disastrous happen to the divine magic that keeps it aloft. But you do have the opportunity to go and visit. Um, I would like just to see where everybody stands with how they're presenting themselves to the priests of Bahamut. Go ahead and make a persuasion check. And
Oh,
Kale, if you're
joy.
going to, you make that check as well.
Okay.
I have absolutely
Yeah.
no concerns.
I would
Oh,
definitely
joy.
tag along.
Just as a heads
Okay,
up,
I
it
might.
might get kind of loud here because people just got home from a trip.
Oh, welcome.
So just as a heads up.
Okay.
Where is
Okay.
22?
14.
Okay.
I'm weird. I'm weird looking. They're like, what the fuck are you tiefling? Are you dragonborn?
Yeah,
What's going on?
you're getting some eyeballs.
I'm pretty sure Vanya still is because of Zephyr, but
Karobe, Kale, what are your rolls? I can't.
And
I can't see that from here.
not funny.
Oh,
Kale got a 22.
a 22.
So it would be a 24 for me. But it's a
Nice.
natural 20.
Nice. So Karobe and Kale and Vanya, you don't. I mean, you get looks, but you don't get any kind of discerning looks. You get intrigued looks from the Dragonborn uh, who are here to both protect uh, and assist those who have made the pilgrimage up to the up to the temple. Arya, you're the one who's getting some odd looks because obviously because of your appearance, you you look very strange. You don't look very dragon-like. You don't look very tiefling-like. You don't look very human-like. So they're trying to, without actually asking you any questions, trying to make out what it is that you are, without being rude.
Being racially profiled.
they're they're not thinking any ill will of you, but they're curious. They just watch you as you go. Um,
Mm.
and you're finally meeting a person uh, who kind of shows you into all of the public spaces of the Temple of Baphomet, and uh, probably the most prominent thing that you see is a very large sort of platinum statue where goers have made their offerings after making the climb up the floating mountain up to the top of the temple, and
Hmm.
have um, have left what they were what offerings they were planning to give. Um, there's things of all sorts. There's jewelry, there's food, there's clothing, there's armor, there's precious gems, there's things of all sort that people think that they have laid at the feet of this statue in order to give their appreciation to Bahamut as an entity and a deity here. Um, Obviously, this is a very sacred place, more or less, for Korobe. Korobe, since you have a very personal connection with Bahamut, it's a very familiar face of that dragon, as you have seen him in your dreams, having kicked the shit out of you and slapped you in the midst of your chest and back in order to wake you up from your your lackadaisical sort of adult ways. Uh, Kale, this definitely has some significance to you because Bahamut is the most revered of the gods in Kandor. Uh, how you may have grown up with that culturally uh, is not something that you've shared with the Lucky Sevens as of yet, but maybe you have a special place for this platinum dragon in your heart. Um, Vanya not being the very religious person, maybe you find that this is very pretty, if very similar to the same kinds of things that you saw in the city of Zarana, in maybe tone and maybe in make as well. Um, for Arya, you sense a very familiar face, like you've seen this dragon's face before.
How so?
Familial.
Like, not just familial. And this is probably where the 14 comes in. She's she sees a statue and she gets closer to it and stepping up a little bit onto the podium that it is placed upon, his altar space. And she reaches up to just trace her fingers across its face and just cocking her head and tilting it, trying to analyze, what, who, how. There's lots of dragons that she does recall to some extent. Like, she even knew Lucivoral. When, as soon as his name came up, it was obvious. And each of the dragons that she had met had like some grandiose titles and something about them that she recognized. But this one, she's struggling beyond just, this is the god Bahamut.
Make a religion check.
I'm not great at that.
That's okay.
You're just trying to get a range. Okay. La-do-do-do-do. Whatever it is, it's flat 12.
You've heard the origin stories of some of the gods. And one such story that maybe sticks out to you a little more than most, as far as Bahamut goes, is that he is the son of Zuvual, Melora, the Wild Mother,
Mm-hmm.
whom you are very connected with. Maybe that's why it feels familiar.
Curious. It's my connection with Bahamut because of my connection with Zuvural. I don't know.
At which point you see some priests just kind of gently coming up towards you, Arya, and just kind of gently try to coax you off of the podium, off of the dais, and try to come away from the action, from actually touching the statue.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm so sorry. She's like apologizing, trying to be like placative, and she does a whole bunch of bows before placing some money onto the little altar space where all the rest of the offerings were.
You see a silver dragonborn with his sort of like frilled mohawk sort of looking at you. It's all right, ma'am. It's all right. Just please refrain from touching. We prefer that we maintain a very pristine sheen on His Grace's scales.
Of course. I'm so sorry. I'll be mindful of it going into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. And he kind of gives you a bow. His robes kind of just are very much sort of like just like a plain sort of like white with very little decoration. You just see a single symbol of Bahamut on his neck, and he goes back to doing whatever duties he was attending to before he had to step you away.
Vanya's just looking at her like, what is that about? It's not like you.
It just feels familiar. Well, no way, like it's memory, but I mean it is, but it's. I remember the dragons. All the ones that I met, I remember their names, titles, who they were, why they were. At least to some extent. I saw the twisted face of Lucifer, and I knew who he was.
But you don't recognize this one.
No. And I feel like I'm supposed to. More so than all the others. And it's like it's like when a family member that you've lost, their face is still there, but it's distant and it begins to fade over time. It's not because you've forgotten them, but you just forget the details. The small scars, or the freckles, or even what color their eyes were over time.
I'm sure it'll come to you over time. I hope.
I hope so too. Bahamut is a god. But maybe he was something else. I'm not sure.
She's gonna dig out some coinage she kept from the hoard and put some of it in Arya's hand. I think it might be a good idea to leave these behind. Don't you?
Yeah. Let's do that. She'll go and do a proper prayer to Bahamut, leave the coin behind, and bow her head.
She'll leave hers, but she won't offer a prayer. It's not her style, but she will give a similar bow, at the very least.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. Arya's prayer is entirely, like, just very, very clumsy. Like, it's clear she has never, once in her life. In fact, she's probably only prayed once in her life, and that ended up being a very incidental
Yeah.
of consequence.
She will look up at it just for a moment. The only thing I ask is you help her find an answer. You ease her mind.
And Arya, as you're maybe offering up this clumsy prayer, this sort of word vomit that you might be expressing in this moment, whether it's silently or whether it's out loud, you might feel a warm smile just kind of in your presence. You feel it in your chest, in your heart.
And she will touch the epitome of love. That strange, warm crystal that glows. And she kind of just feels it. She lets herself feel it before looking upon this magnificent statue and kind of in wonder and confusion, maybe curiosity. But she won't press further. Not here. Maybe it's something she needs to understand in another time.
And
Maybe
perhaps
it's something she'll find.
And perhaps another time will come to you, because there is some essence to other deities that you must seek and pursue at some point. Perhaps Bahamut will be amongst those who will welcome you to in doing so. But as you continue to travel along the various places in the Fallfire Plains and in the Stormwind Empire, of distributing and selling off the artifacts and gold that you have found as part of your excursion to Zarana. At the end of several months, you find yourself in the possession of a large amount of gold, and the decision had been made to construct a fort. And that was going to be in, I believe, the Goyera Archipelago, as a sort of neutral ground, where you all would set up your fort as either part of or establishing a city-state. If I remember correctly.
Yes, that would be correct. Somehow, we're doing this.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So, the construction of which would take around 6 months, which you, as the Lucky Sevens, do not have to be present for, and I'm sure that there are other things that you would like to get up to during this 6-month period, while you're sort of meandering
Waiting
about.
for a castle to be built.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going to actually pick up next time, where we have some weddings to perform. A couple of which are between several characters in the party, and one of which is between a character and his NPC lover. And we'll come to that next time. Thank you all so much for playing.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Love y'all. Glad y'all came to play.
Love you.
Hey, fun.
So, with that being said, let's talk about some experience. So, it was a lot of exposition going on today, so there was a lot of me talking, some of y'all talking, but a lot of me talking. which my voice is a little rough as a part of that, but that's okay. I am 100% okay with this. So, I think what I'm gonna do is just kind of make it easy, unless you guys are looking to vote on who was good at doing what for the role playing prompts. I was just gonna make it an easy peasy 10 experience for everybody.
Fine with me.
Okay.
All right.
With me.
All right. But yeah, thanks so much to all of y'all out in the audience for watching rather, and being a part of the audience here at CoffeeCat Presents. We're going to be back next week with more of the same for Rebirth, and also on Wednesdays for Cyberpunk, so definitely be tuning in for more of that. I do all of the live announcements on Discord, and I also post VODs on YouTube, so be on the lookout for all of that. So, with that being said, though, I think it is time for us to say goodnight. So, say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Nah.